What is happening, and welcome to another four-wheel drive talk episode. And friends, as you can see, out of the studio, which could only mean, well, at this point it could mean a variety of things, but it was a field trip in store today. So we're going to hammer out another Trucks and Coffee. And friends, this is a very special edition because, as many of you know, recently I've been testing out a new tent. Well, it's not really a new, it's a version 2 tent, version 2. So Overlandish Base Camp version 2 I've been playing around with, and it is absolutely kicking ass. But where I'm leading with this here is when I met up with the owners. Actually, there's two of you, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the first one, now Mark, he has, which you guys will be seeing that interview coming on Trucks and Coffee here in a minute. That's a
Ford Ranger.
Yep. Which is pretty decked out as well. And then you came by with this beast to drop off the tent. Yep. I had to introduce these guys to, hey, we have this Trucks and Coffee interview series, and it would be a blast because I know you guys would absolutely dig what these guys have done to these vehicles. All right, friends, before we go diving into all of the fun that's going to be coming up here, look, as I've shared with some of the other episodes that we've done here, these sort of videos, see, I'm a car guy. Did you ever go to the Cars and Coffees back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's always fun because you get to walk around, and I remember, now it's been years since I've been to a Cars and Coffee, but back in the day when they had at the Mazda building down here, there'd probably be 400 or 500 cars out there, hoods up, everybody smoking and joking, talking about a common interest, which of course is cars, horsepower, going fast, or just looking at a classic. So things have kind of shifted into trucks these days. And so these sort of videos, I always find it interesting to see, especially when you see something like this, what you've done. And it is, for many of us, it acts as inspiration. For many of those that are just getting started, heck, that acts as a compass to get you moving in a direction where you have a vision. It may kind of sync with what you've done. So anyway, where I'm leading with this, look, these sort of videos we put together to, I guess we can say, entertain. And if you find some value with this video, there's that whole like button down below that really, hell, we would sure appreciate you crushing the hell out of it. And there's that YouTube algorithm that really digs it as well. That said, my friends, pull up a seat in. Hey, it's time. Let's go. But Matt, hey, thank you very much. It's great seeing you guys coming out here. It looks like we might avoid the rain here.
Yes, hopefully.
Before we get into a lot of the questions regarding your truck here, can you share with the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I can tell a little bit. A lot of people know, at least us or this truck or us, our account on Instagram from our photography. We started off mainly on like off-road magazines, photography, shooting for a lot of our sponsors' catalogs. That mainly came off of what we did with weddings, and mainly now we're sort of segueing and sort of using those talents into this company that we have here, and we'll talk about later, Overlandish. So right now, mainly a big chunk of our time is involved with this company, pretty much catering to, or at least our goal is to cater to a lot of your overland off-road needs.
So, speaking of the company brand, of course, I got to dive into the big elephant in the room, the name, Overlandish. I've been meaning to ask you guys, how did you, I get Overland, how's the ish come into the, how?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's, it largely came off of a trip. Mark and I were out, and we were out with some buddies who strictly were pre-runners, and there was a guy in a Jeep, and he's like, well, I'm not an Overlander, I'm a Jeep guy, and the pre-runner is like, well, I'm a pre-runner guy, and we're just like, well, you're just Overland-ish. And literally from then, like Mark and I stared at each other like, what the heck? Like, so that pretty much came to like, our ideas started forming, and you know, literally that weekend we pretty much mapped out, yeah, we want to start manufacturing tents, we want to do this or that. So, and we wanted to cater towards those who, and really get products out there for those who aren't specifically just an overlander or overloader, like the comments like that, or but mainly you'll see, like, as far as like the base camp, that one's really just really is like our staple for the company, as far as whether you're a Jeeper or you like to pre-run or you just want to off-road or camp. That really just suits a lot of the needs that are out there.
It's always interesting, kind of like the genesis of where a truck, which we're going to talk about this here in a moment, the genesis of when somebody picks up a truck and then it starts going through this journey to where This truck has had one hell of a journey, I can tell that much already. But as humans, as entrepreneurs, we all have a journey that we go through as well. And a company origin, the name, the genesis of the name, I find super interesting, and I'm sure many of the listeners do as well. Now, that said, can you share with us a little bit about this truck right here?
What you can see, it's a 2017 Chevy Colorado 4x4. It's a Z71. A lot of people think it's a ZR2. This was based off of a Z71 package. Overall, long travel Baja kits, KC highlights everywhere, lightener rack, and our Summit rooftop tent. So that's pretty much just a high level overview. There's a lot into it, but that's just the exterior pieces.
And we're going to get to that in a moment. But first, if you watched any of these sort of interviews with me here, you know there's one thing that we absolutely love to do. So we're going to do something fun right now. We're going to jump in the Wayback Machine. We're going to go back to 2017. One morning, you woke up, you decided, well, gee whiz, I'm going to go pick up a 2017 BAM. What was the original inspiration for you picking this thing up?
Yeah, so original inspiration, I mean, to be all honest, I went that morning to go get a Tacoma. Literally, and I saw this truck across the lot, and I was like, whoa, that thing looks pretty cool. Like the ZR2 just came out, and I had some people out like with these trucks with ZR2s, and they had long travel, and that's the direction I wanted to go. And no one really was building anything out, and I wanted sort of a challenge, because really no one makes anything for this at the time. So at least that sort of got my wheels rolling. I'm like, all right, let's build this thing out instead.
So speaking of building this thing out, usually when people get involved in picking up a vehicle to go off the pavement, they generally have two different avenues that they can go.
Yep.
You have rock crawling, then you have overlanding. Then you have some that kind of build a bit of a hybrid between. When you went out and decided to start building this truck out, what direction were you mainly going after?
Yeah, so mainly after overlanding. So at least we wanted a hybrid of being able to get through some rock crawl sections or some pretty heavy ruts, but mainly just overlanding. We love going and finding spots that most people can't get to, but we also wanted something a little bit of that can handle high speed as well. So that's sort of where we went towards like the pre-runner suspension route as well.
Very cool. So let's shift gears here a little bit. Can we talk about some of the mods? Now, I look at this and there's clearly a ton that has been done to this here. So let's skim off the top here. What are some of the key mods that you've done to this thing?
Yeah, so I mean, right here, smack in the face, I mean, there's the wrap, which was done by Daily Visual out in Ontario. One of the biggest things that was a pet peeve, this was a black truck to start with, and pinstripes galore. It was just getting crazy, and we were saying it's about time to get some protection done. So we went for the wrap. Fiberworks, fender flares, all on the sides, wide body, Baja kits, long travel kit, lightener rack to store all of our gear. Like I mentioned before, the Summit RTT from Overlandish from us, Rome boxes up top, CBI, roof rack, and a whole goose gear seat to lead inside. So, and bumpers from Relentless Fabrication. So it's that's not even the whole list, but that's the high, like the top 15 mods there.
Wow. We're not talking all mods. We're talking just kind of skimming off the top. Do you remember what your first mod was on this thing?
First mod was the iBach Pro level kit. So at least the 2.0 shocks. That was a great way to just get us started, get on some trails, and yeah, it definitely suited us for a month or two, and then that's when it started rolling from there.
Out of all the mods that you've put on this truck, is there a single mod that has impacted the way that you use this truck the most?
Largely our suspension. We get places efficiently. Like we say, we like to go a little quicker, and we also like the comfort. So our Baja kits long travel setup with the Kings and the triple bypasses and the Diva rear springs, that really brings up our comfort. And that's really, as we always, or my wife and I always talk about what's like our favorite thing, it's always a suspension.
Now, If you could do all the mods over again, is there a single mod that you would not do again?
Yes.
This is a hot seat question.
Yes. And I could ruffle some feathers with this. But it's a great company, but as far as just in general, just tire hitch swing outs, not a big fan. As far as like the idea of it, it works great for most people, but for us, when we go fast and we just really are banging things around, the hitch does not hold at least a 35-inch tire that well when you're going fast and hitting whoop sections. It's not designed for that. If you're just going slow and rock crawling, yeah, that would be good. But for us, it definitely was a little bit. It created some damage. But
what do you think about it though? 35-inch tires, which I'm running 35s, or I'm sorry, 37s on mine right now, but I had 35s on there with the black Rhino, I'm trying to think of the name, but it looks kind of military-ish.
Yeah.
With the Nitto Trail Grappler, you're talking about 135 pounds. So if you're out there, I can see where that's going to put a lot of strain. That's, conservatively speaking, 135, 140 pounds.
Yeah.
That's going to put a strain on just about anything. Yeah. So again, when I look at this truck, one of the reasons that, okay, we got to get him on the show here, I see this as completely tricked out. That said, I'm still going to ask, do you have any plans for the future of this truck?
Yes. There's about 2 or 3 more items. I'll just say 3. One on the top of the list is our soon-to-be installed PRP Enduro seats. We had some custom made for us. We just need to get the mounts all settled in, and we'll get those on. The second one is a rear long travel, so full bed cage and links. That's at least on the list, and then a supercharger to keep us going.
Nice. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to shift gears. We're going to dive into our speed round. Now, speed round, I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions. You're going to give me 5 quick answers. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. How often do you take this truck out?
About once or twice a month.
Okay. What is the strangest thing that you've seen on the trails?
We were out in Death Valley. We were out in the middle of nowhere, and a cord was just hauling through the desert on flats, and it was definitely a sketchy, sort of weird thing. Yep, that was weird.
You can go multiple directions with that one. If any mod could magically appear on your truck right now today, no cost out of your pocket, what mod would that be?
I would love a supercharger.
Yeah, somehow I knew you were going to go there with that. Do you have an idea of what supercharger, what chargers are available for this?
There's Lingenfelter, Edelbrock, and Mallet. So it's sort of leaning towards a Lingenfelter or a Mallet system.
So Lingenfelter, that is a root style charger.
Yes.
Okay, so the others I'm not familiar with. Are they root style as well?
Yep, they're the same. At least Lingenfelter has a bigger reservoir, and Mallet has a little bit more of a larger pulley, so you get a little bit more low-end torque from it.
I should know this from my Corvette days, but Lingenfelter, aren't they pulling, is that a white labeled Magnuson?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
Okay. So you could technically save a few bucks and go with Magnuson direct, or you can go with the name Lingenfelter and...
Yeah. Who knows? We'll see.
That is it. Save money or get the name on your... That's a slippery slope right there. Is there such thing as a perfect size tire?
That's a tough question. I have always been a diehard 33-inch person. As far as if anyone wants to go off-roading, I'm just say get a 33. Lately, I feel like a 33 recommendation has been turning to 35s, especially as far as just getting a little bit more comfort off-roading. But currently, like if any vehicle I have, I'm going straight to a 35. If it's a Jeep, yeah, you'd go like 37s. But for any like standard vehicle, I would just say, like, if you're wanting to mod it up, 35. If you're just wanting to keep it simple, a 33.
You know, speaking of tires, though, and get off path here a little bit, have you noticed that, where you look at the grandfather of overlanding off-road, either the New Zealanders or in Africa, and if you look at most of their vehicles over there, they're usually between the 33s, 35s. It's not until you get into the mainland U.S. where you're getting up to like 45s and just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, we like to go big.
Yeah. So, question number 5. Is there a off-road pet peeve that you have?
Yes. One, when people don't use like signals. If you're in a tight trail and they're not telling you that you're the last one. If there's one more around and that last person swings around the corner and you could have just waited a little bit longer, that's just a little bit of a pet peeve. And another one is mostly just if people aren't cleaning up. So like if you go out to Glamis or out anywhere big and there's a big event in the weekend, like you stayed that one extra day and there's just trash everywhere. So that's like probably one of my other ones.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I remember one of my favorite places to go to is Alabama Hills, and they stopped. Yeah. Was it last year? They closed down overnight camping. Is it for the entire park or just certain areas?
Yeah, it was largely for at least that or like that one section. They did close off some neighboring like parks, so it definitely got a little out of hand.
And that's because people were littering and not picking up after themselves. And I agree with you. That is, you go to some of these pristine locations and you're excited to get out there and you see either piles of toilet paper or just raw trash all over, and that's just a big kick in the you-know-what. But final question. Okay. Many of the people that are watching these videos may be just getting started in overlanding or off-roading and not quite sure where to start with their journey with modding out their vehicle and so forth. Can you pass on some advice to them?
Yeah, at least start with protection, like the basic like skid plate for an oil pan, and then go to your tires, things like that, where you get a nice all-terrain tire, whatever size that may be, and then just get a basic camp setup. You don't have to go straight to a $6,000 tent. You can at least start off with something a little bit smaller, get used to it, get in the flow of what space that you need, and then sort of adapt from there. So that's go and get out first and then start building up. A lot of people think they need to build it up, spend 50 grand on a vehicle, and then they get out there and then realize, oh, I don't even need all this, or maybe I need a little bit more. So I'd just say just get out, start basic, and then just start adventuring.
Very cool. I'm going to do something now. Before we started this interview, like anytime I go interviewing folks, we go through the questions. So I'm going to do an impromptu question here, because in the back of my head here, I'm like, let's do something a little different here, because you guys do have Overlandish. So before we go closing off this video, can you share with the listeners what you guys have going on, and if they aren't familiar of Overlandish, why they should jump over to your website and check you guys out?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up. One, we were talking about that Basecamp V2. Yeah, that's our bread and butter. That thing has been great. That's our insulated tent. It's about a 4 to 6 person tent. That has been great as far as like the size. It's a 5 foot in length by 12 foot in diameter tent that can fit in your SUV and all. That's a great start out or extra tent. It's a great all-around tent. We also have our rooftop tents, our summit tent. We have some prototypes here that we haven't really shown off. We have some awnings that we're in the works with, other products as well. That if you want to check out, it's at overlandish.com. So just check it out. There's a lot of our details on there. Goes through all the specs, and we're currently bringing up a lot of the reviews now. So we're literally have just been grinding, and now we're just growing into the development, the marketing, and this is where we are today. And we're getting some tents out there, and now it's time to show it off to the world.
All right, so now it's been roughly about 3 weeks that I've been playing around with this new tent, and friends, you're gonna be seeing a video coming up here within the next week. I just got back from Kofau in Arizona. Have you been there?
I have not.
Absolutely a lot of fun. Well, anyway, while I was out there, hands down, the evenings, it was the windiest camping experience I've ever been. And as I understand, I think the gusts were upwards of 60 miles an hour the second night. The first night, we got camp set up. Now, many of you know, I have a turtleback expedition trailer with my rooftop tent on top of that. And so I had the rain fly on there. I didn't fall asleep until 4 a.m. that first night because it was so windy. The second night, I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to be smart about this. I'm going to take the rain fly off. That's going to make a world of difference.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, hell no. Even a 6-inch little strap was flapping up against it. And the second night was the worst wind that we had. And we were going to be leaving the following day. And at 5 a.m. in the morning, I'm like, I'm not going to do the rooftop. So I decided, okay, because that morning, I should have brought this up earlier, we were using the Overlandish the base camp too as a kind of a communal area. And in the morning, it gave me the environment to be able to work on editing a video that went live for, I can't remember whether it was 4-wheel drive talk or photography talk. But anyways, it was quiet in there with the heavy winds. So I'm like, we're going to crash in here. Screw the rooftop tent. We're crashing in the Overlanding because it was quiet. It was funny is the last night, wind didn't blow.
Oh my God.
It's like Murphy's Law. And so, at any rate,
Right.
you're going to see that video coming up here. And so far with my testing, and as many of you guys know, when I go out there testing, I beat the hell out of it. You guys really hit a home run with this thing. But anyway, stay tuned for that. But friends, that is it for this episode of Trucks and Coffee. As always, it's that time of the video where I'm going to ask you to do all that YouTube stuff because we really appreciate it. So if you haven't liked the video already, please consider doing so. Hit the like button, subscribe, and don't forget all notifications. So every time that we come out with a video where a truck like this may be running behind us at the worst timing, you get notified by Google. I'm just waiting for them to rev it up. We had some motorcycles go by a moment ago, and at any rate, when cameras are out, we've had a few people wanting to cross right in front of us. One mountain bike and some guy and 2 dirt bikes. The one guy was kind of ticked off that we kind of motioned him around, but at any rate, hit the all notifications and you won't miss those. But at any rate, friends, it's been fun here. Now it's that time where we're going to be shutting off the camera so you get out there, stay healthy, and find your adventure.